Hi, I'm Krista,
And I'm Sarah.
and we have this podcast called Have We Talked About? Where two friends at different points in their lives chat about
Everything in their lives, from current events to pop culture, from self-care to self-indulgence, and everything in between.
Join us weekly to see what we talk about next.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
it's going okay. Again, it's been a while. What have you been up to? What's new in your world? I feel like we have a lot of things to catch up on in current news and current events.
It's true. To start off, are you Team Selena or Team Haley?
It's an interesting question that you pose. I recently just watched TikTok about it, and I had no idea about the whole chain of events that led up to this. All I had known is that Selena had gained some weight. I had no idea that there was an issue with eyebrows. I didn't know you could laminate eyebrows. And
The things you learn from TikTok, eh?
right? I mean, and the things that you learn that show how old you are compared to like the new generation. I'm like, we're laminating our eyebrows now. I mean, that's been something that's been around for a while. But when I saw how badly she had done her eyebrows, I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. I do think that she's being trolled. I do think that Kylie and Haley are just people that didn't do any kind of post-secondary education or real life experience. So they're just like still stuck in mean girl phase. So from that perspective, I guess I'm Team Selena, even though I'm not particularly into Selena, like into her looks or anything or her talent, respectfully. But yeah, like you got the guy, Haley. Get over it, maybe?
Honestly.
Like, did you hear about like the souvenirs that they gave out at like, I don't know, like an anniversary party or some Justin's birthday party where it's like, you know, like commemorating you picking the person that you're with now versus a person that you thought you should have been with. Yeah, some shit like that.
No, I did not hear about that.
Yeah, that's something
there are
recent.
so many rumors that there was like an announcement at his recent birthday party that they're pregnant.
Oh.
So like, I don't know. But that's all a rumor. Nothing has come to yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. But I saw the little picture of the souvenir and I was like,
Oh, that's like, just move on. Come on.
she's not, like, it's been so long since they've been together. I feel like in a way this is like when I see Nick Lachey and Vanessa Manillo together and I still, people are still hung up on Nick and Jessica. And it's like, it's been 10 years. Granted,
Honestly.
I mean.
And like, did you watch the show? Like, my God.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Team Jessica, I read her autobiography and I totally understand why they split up, but I'm like, you got the guy. You need to, we need to move on here. The ship,
100%.
the train has left the station.
Yeah. In other news, did you know that Mickey Mouse will be replaced as the Disney mascot next year? What?
So like he's retiring? Like, no,
Something about they had
something
like,
in this world is going awry.
right? It's like, what do you mean they're going to replace him?
I've not heard
like
this news.
His contract or his copyright or whatever it is up next year, and the new mascot is this. It's called Figment. This imagination. I don't know, dragon or something. And I'm like, what?
No, that's a no. That's a hard no.
Right? I'm like, no, it's always Mickey. Get out of here.
So now you're just going to replace it with something where it's like, it's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Tell me you're not
But
creative
it's
without
like
telling
this,
me you're
like-
not creative.
Well, kind of. It's like this like purple like dinosaur thing. And I'm just like, no.
It's Barney.
Mickey. Anyways, I heard that. Hopefully it doesn't come because I don't want that.
Yeah. So there must be like 100-year-old copyright that is now finally expired on Mickey Mouse or whatever it is.
Seriously.
So what happens to Minnie? What
Right?
happens to
What
Goofy?
happens to the whole gang?
What happens to
the whole
Pluto?
gang? That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's not only our generations that grew up, but there's like my nephews grew up on like Mickey Mouse Playhouse or whatever it's called.
Right. And it's like, it's all the stuff at the parks. It's all like the Mickey ears. It's all the merch. It's everything. So it's like, really?
Yeah, the iconic souvenir from Disney World and Disneyland is the ears.
Right.
With your
so
name
what's
in
it going to be? Anyways, so we'll see.
I'm a boomer.
how that
I'm
one
opposed to
plays out.
this.
I know. Well, same. I'm opposed to this too. 'Cause,
Like, no.
Don't touch something that's good. Don't fuck with it.
Oh my God. What other news do you have for me? I feel like it's going to be worse than what you're telling me right now about Mickey Mouse.
No, that's all I got. That's all I got.
Oh. Well, I mean, I guess we could find a couple of good things, but it probably kind of parlays into what we want to talk about now or today, which has been a common topic for a while. And as commoners, we're fully into it, which is the royal family, more specifically Harry and Meghan. The saga continues. But I do want to take a step back because I know that you've been a lover of the royal family pre-Harry and Meghan, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to get your insight or just your preliminary thoughts about your interest or love for the royals and how that started. And then we can maybe then dig into Harry and Meghan since, Harry's like the last of the royal family outside of the kids and Kate and Meghan.
Totally. Well, I think we both have a personal interest in the royal family. I think mine
yours is more.
Started. Okay, relax. I think mine started with William and Kate. I think it was always the Queen was always there as a constant in the royal family, and I always heard of things. But I think what really attracted me was William and Kate. And then they got engaged, and then there was little, movies about them, and then they got married. I obviously watched that, and I watched their journey and everything, and I watched their things, and I thought I liked them as a couple. I really like her. And then as things progressed with the royal family in general, and then Harry and Meghan, I just followed that storyline. But I think for me, it all kind of started with William and Kate. Interesting.
I do think that your love for them is stronger because I could not continue to watch The Crown, and you have continued on. So I think by that barometer, you are a more hardcore, devout royal fam lover than I. But Did
I go to London for my honeymoon? Yes. Did I go to Kensington Palace? Did I go to Kensington Palace?
That's right, girl.
Go off. While on a tour, I asked, hey, so, quick question. I understand this is all, the dead royals, but, is, by any chance, Kate, in the building right now? And they're like, I don't know. And I said, okay, cool, thanks. And then we went to the bakery that's on site, and I was like, I think I asked a question about Kate, and she was making fun of me. She's like, oh yeah, Kate just called. She wants one of our croissants. I was like, really? And she's like, no.
Oh, that's
oh yeah, okay. I'm just gonna walk over here now. Yeah. So,
yeah. And I'm same, right? Yeah, exactly. I've always had an interest in the royals. Prince William and Prince Harry are pretty close in age to me. So their births and all of that stuff, I remember sort of, not their births because I was obviously
a little,
yeah, a star in the sky. But being from Canada and being part of the Commonwealth, the royals were a part of our upbringing, and that whole Princess Di and Prince Charles and all that kind of thing. And
I think sorry to interrupt you. I think what also fascinates me is how secretive everything is. So you want to know more, but you're not getting it, right?
What is going on?
Exactly. So now with all this Harry and Meghan bombshells that have dropped, I've just been eating it up.
Yeah, because you're you suspect, right? As a person who just observes behavior, my interest in the royal family didn't really reignite until the wedding between William and Kate, because everybody tuned in. I certainly did. It was a magical wedding. I watched it a couple of times. It's it's a fairy tale, and they, I think, culturally for the world or even for the UK or the Commonwealth, reignited the interest in them. So they became popular, which helped drove their charities and all their philanthropic work. And then they wanted to continue that with Harry and Meghan. And it seemed like it didn't go the course that everybody wanted. Based on me watching the documentary 3 times. I do I do my research because I can't get through the audiobook. it just seems like they're too popular, and there's a hierarchy there that's implied in the royal family that needs to be adhered to, and for whatever reason couldn't be because of the popularity that Harry and Meghan had, and they're like, well, we have to do something about it.
And I should note, for anyone that doesn't know, Meghan was filming Suits when they started dating, and Suits was filmed in Toronto.
Right.
So Meghan and Harry would be like dating in Toronto. And I think they had their first like appearance together at one of the Invictus games.
Correct.
Around City Hall in downtown Toronto. So that was super exciting, I feel like, for Toronto in general. Like, we had Harry here, who was dating Meghan. Like, there was a lot of good, positive buzz at that point.
Yes.
But it quickly fell downhill real fast.
Well, because they hadn't been engaged yet. They would just announce. I think it was 1 or 2 years after that they were finally married. And, yeah, I think for all of... not Canada, but at least for Toronto, she was a honorary Canadian. She had been filming Suits and living in Toronto during, the filming of the season for, I think, 7 years. Yeah. So she was entrenched, which is also why I have an issue and take umbrage to the fact that she's oblivious and acts oblivious to the royal family's existence. Especially when she talks about her own wedding and everything that she's going through, being like, it's global. Yeah, bitch. Like the royal wedding was before you came into the picture. Like, how do you not know? Like, I totally believe that they're in love, and I completely support her goodwill and charity work. But stop hiding behind the fact that you didn't know. Anybody of their right mind
100%.
Marrying into a family where you have titles of king and queen and prince and princess is going to be shitting in their pants.
And also, at the end of the day, we know she's a smart cookie. Like,
thank you.
She's very smart.
Incredibly
so the fact
intelligent.
that you're playing this card, like, oh my God, I had no idea. Who would have known? It's like, everyone.
Exactly. Anyone who's been an A student would know. Anybody who's done a job, had a job interview where they wanted to get the job, you do your research. Like,
exactly.
Like, I didn't know, but I'm doing this documentary. Hey, Harry, should I go over my speech again that I gave at the wedding? I just happen to have it here on my phone.
How convenient. So
great speech, by the way.
What were your, honestly, okay, so I feel like the first bombshell that they dropped was the Oprah interview.
Right. So
you watched that?
I did.
What was your kind of thoughts about that?
I think that she did endure a lot of pain, emotional pain, being in that situation. What I continue to struggle with as a person of color myself is the obliviousness to the fact that she's not going to feel like an outsider, knowing that whole monarchy is built on classism. And the byproduct of classism is colorism. So the fact that she went into it not thinking that she would be considered an outsider is where it did feel at times where she was pulling, I don't want to say a race card, but a color card where for everybody else that would have just been implied, whether it I had curly hair going in and not straight hair, or I was, South American versus like the WASP white Anglo-Saxon person. So
yeah,
I don't think I felt the same level of empathy for her watching the Oprah interview as opposed to watching the documentary. It did feel like a publicity stunt to kind of garner attention in a way that I think it didn't ring true for me.
And I also feel like she did 85 to 90% of the talking, and then they invited Harry like at the end to come in, and it was great to hear what Harry had to say, but he just came in at the end, and I wish Oprah interviewed him more, or them together, rather than just specifically her.
And I think you kind of touch on what I liked about the documentary versus that interview is that it was Harry, because the only person that can really give you the nitty gritty down and dirty about what was going on is Harry. Exactly. She can give you her perspective and her experience, but she wasn't trained and indoctrinated into it.
Exactly. So then, so you watched the documentary 3 times. I've only watched it once. What were so you have mentioned a few of your thoughts.
Yeah.
What other things did you feel throughout it?
you and I have talked offline about this a couple of times where there were aspects of her just kind of pandering, right? Where she's just pandering to be like this obliviousness. I don't know. I didn't know how to curtsy. I didn't know the national anthem. But I've just told you, the audience, that every single palace has its own press and communications team, and we as well have our own PR team, who have told me there's a strict protocol. But for whatever reason, they've left all of this information out. So I'm just going to tell you how I just stumbled upon a YouTube video and just figured it out, folks. I just figured it out. Like, okay, so in all of those YouTube videos, nowhere it said royal family might be racist, maybe like be aware.
Right.
Or,
but also just look at them. Just look at them.
Right? You're American even. You're not even British. So like,
Yeah.
that's an issue.
Yeah.
What else did I find? I really enjoyed watching their love story as it began, because I do believe that they really love each other. But at the same time, let's call a spade a spade. If he wasn't a prince, you wouldn't go to Botswana after knowing him for a month.
Right.
Us real girls would not be doing that. Sorry.
No.
So I could like be sold and like harvested for organs. Like, it's only because he was Prince Harry that you were doing that.
Right.
Yeah, I think if they just played it as it was and spoke about their experiences and not so much the monologues or interviews with her where she's having to do this convincing. You know, when things go wrong, they always want somebody to blame. And it's always the woman. And in this particular instance, the public wanted somebody to blame. And they're not going to be like Harry was on his own path. They always blame the wife, right? Like, when she's having those type of conversations, I'm like, girl, this is why people are struggling. Mm-hmm. Like, you're the outsider. And granted, there's a different way you could frame that where I'm like, I was an outsider. I didn't want to be an outsider. And as we've left this, I will continue to be an outsider. And that can be implied.
Exactly.
But for you to go and say, they're blaming me for something that was completely his doing, it's like, okay, yes, but also like, no. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just take some accountability in this whole thing where it's like, I acted naive, and it was devastating. Do I?
And I think... Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, I don't have any doubt in my mind that they weren't used as scapegoats, because nobody was talking about Prince Andrew and his whole Jeffrey Epstein thing during that whole time, and that was huge.
Exactly.
So of course, yes. Go ahead.
And they're not going to say anything bad about William and Kate because they're next in the monarch, so...
Yeah. Did you hear about that whole thing about the crying and over... what's the little girl's name? Her wedding dress.
Charlotte's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dress, and how
Mm-hmm.
William and Kate were being like, no, Meghan's the bully. Meghan made Kate cry. And then it turns out Kate was demanding for all of the dresses to be remade because Princess Charlotte was unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm like...
Which again, we're hearing it from one side. I'm a true Kate fan. I don't believe Kate would do that. I think she would
Prince
have
Harry provides the screenshots of the text in his book, though.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. That's why it carries some weight. He brought out the receipts, and people are pissed because, of course, you don't want to believe that. No. But, yeah, I don't know. I would love to know or get an idea of really the dynamic between Kate and Meghan, right? That could really tell me what was up.
Me too, because you see when they're like on TV together, whatever, they act. Well, recently they don't really look at each other, but previously they would smile, you know,
pleasantries,
friendliness, and that's it.
Sure.
But I'm very curious to know what their actual relationship is, because at the end of the day, you are sister-in-laws.
Yeah, but you'd think that because they've been excommunicated, forcefully or not, from the royal family, that they're like not that anymore either. It's just like they act like they're Amish and they've been shunned.
Valid. I was going to mention, I also feel like Meghan mentioned multiple times in the documentary that she wanted a big family,
Ooh, so I'm glad you're touching on this.
And I feel like people they always say the royal family, but I think in reality it's not a family.
Right.
It's a fake family. It's a business at the end.
It's an institution, like they call it.
Exactly. So I think she went in thinking, oh my God, this is my new family. But in reality, it was completely the opposite of that.
I agree. So I'm glad that you brought this up, because one of my other observations was she talks a little bit about her mom and her mom having a sister, and they throw back to a couple of pictures that seem to be like with her mom's side of the family. Mm-hmm. She doesn't ever talk about them coming to the wedding. She doesn't ever talk about them at all. So when she says, I wanted a family, I didn't have it, I'm like, so you had no cousins on your mom's side of the family? Like, that part of it where it's like, I don't know what it's like to be an only child, but I get that, I acknowledge that there's a bit of loneliness there, but you could still grow up with a lot of cousins and be an only child, as an example.
And aunts and uncles. Like, I feel like around the wedding, they only talked about her father's family.
Yeah.
They didn't touch about her mom's family.
So when she's...
like, where's that side?
Exactly. And you're not including it because you want to play into this whole ideology of, or this narrative that you want to, kind of perpetuate that I just figured I was marrying into a family. Okay, but Megan, you weren't an orphan.
Yeah. Like, where's your family?
Yeah, we know that your dad sold you down the river for money. So
yeah, and that is truly heartbreaking and awful. And I can't
1,000%.
Oh my God.
But your mom still has family.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have grandparents on that side. Like, I would have liked, and granted, they may have chosen not to be a part of the documentary, which is completely up to them. But it would have given the balance more if she spoke about that. Being like, that side of the family, they were part of the wedding, but we didn't talk about it. I don't think that her mom's side of the family was invited to the wedding either. And that's where... I don't
think anyone was.
That's where the authenticity of her comes into play, where I always felt that she was an opportunist. And it has a more negative connotation than positive, where she will align herself with the people that will help her to get ahead, which is why she's been able to be in the social circles in Canada that were considered elite, like one of your closest friends being married to the son of a former prime minister and all that kind of stuff. But there's no friends from, she said she had a friend from childhood, and there's no family connections whatsoever at this wedding. You don't ever talk about it. Your closest cousin, but really aunt, is the daughter of the half-sister that you never talked to, didn't know her full name or her birthday, who then you had to say, girl, you can't come to the wedding.
Right.
Like, the dysfunction is so real there.
And the fact that you had this huge grand wedding and you only had your mom there.
Yeah, and a whole colored black gospel choir with no black relatives at the wedding.
Yeah.
And like,
it's very... I know, it's very interesting. The one scene that stands out in my head, even to this day, which I don't even know why they put it in, but that's besides the fact, is when she went to her old school and visited her old principal. Mm-hmm.
And then they read
why? And then, they read what she wrote. And I was just like, also, they read what she wrote, which is like, that sounds horrible.
Incriminated her to the core.
100%.
When I'm famous one day, I'm going to, and I don't remember what she said, come back and visit or make you famous or something, or give you a lot of money.
Something.
And she's like, it's so funny I said that, right? No, girl, it sounds like you had a plan. You were a girl with a plan from a long time ago. You're
a smart cookie. You knew where you wanted to go, where you wanted to be.
1,000%. And if you don't want to be a part of the royal family and Harry's happier, I would love to see them do more charity work, and they're not doing that now. They're doing the Netflix special. She's doing her Archetypes podcast. And it's like, why aren't you going back to doing what you love?
Yeah. Unless they're doing that behind the scenes and no one cares to report on it, because who knows? Like, I don't know.
But you have a whole communications team in that Archwell Productions, Archwell organization that could publicize that. You don't get any money unless you publicize it, right?
Yeah.
So like, just go back to doing that if that's what you love doing. Like, don't say you don't want publicity, you want privacy when you are an actress by trade. You like to be on the screen, you like to be seen, you like to tell stories.
Yep. Also, their documentary got a 42% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And a 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
Ooh. Well, the fun fact about that is that people from their team or their connections with the production team that did that documentary got fired right afterwards.
Ooh, like, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, but it just, to me, it speaks to, just with the ignorant point of view that I have, is that you can't tell a story that's not true. Yeah. Like, you wanted to curry favor with yourself, being like, poor you, where it's like, no, you're in a shitty situation. It fucked up your mental. You said, I can't do this. Your husband's like, let's be out. I'm going to throw it all away for you. And you're like, and it sucks, but our peace is worth more.
Exactly.
Not like, I'm just a girl who fell in love with a guy who happened to be a prince and I lived under a rock.
Yeah, valid. I did, though, like, at the end of the documentary, I truly did feel bad for Harry. Like, oh,
and I will continue to feel bad for him.
Same. Like, you really got to look into his life, even, like, when his mom died and kind of what happened and things like that. Oh, just my heart breaks for him, and I feel so bad. And I really hope now that, you know, he's separated himself from his quote-unquote family and he's in LA, I really, truly hope that he's happy.
But he has to build out a whole new identity.
Yep.
Even though, since the king is now the King Charles, their children have now got back their titles of prince and princess. I don't understand or know enough to know how that happened to be. Do you happen to know what? No? Okay.
I just know that they recently got their titles back. Okay. But what does that truly mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
it means they're invited to the other kids' birthday parties now, like,
because all the prince and princesses are invited. Oh my god, thanks. Yeah, it's interesting. I did not read his book, though. You did, or you listened to his book
to the first little bit, but I couldn't.
The first little bit,
but I couldn't continue for whatever reason. Maybe I will read the book. Listening to it, I guess he goes too slow for me. And then again, I think I'd referenced this before. Calling his dad Papa and his mom Mummy in the book, like, creeped me out. Because he would say it incessantly, right? So it's like, yeah, and I was going to, you know, it's like, I'm going to meet Father for an important talk. He's like, and I'm going to go meet Papa. And I'm like, you are a 38-year-old man talking about Papa.
That's true. I just feel like a lot, like, okay, so they did the Oprah interview, then they did the documentary, which then dropped in two different drop dates, I feel like.
And they changed the drop date. They changed the drop date.
Oh, that's right.
They moved it up.
That's a lot. Like, within, like, a span of, what, 4 to 5 months?
And Megan dropped her podcast, Archetypes, around that same time.
Like, yikes. Like, now let's close it up and focus on your life, what you want to do next. Let's not work with Netflix anymore. I think you got out everything you needed to say.
Do a reality show then. Show what you're really like. Show them that you feed your chickens every day and you cut your roses from your garden and you seem to have one hell of a green thumb. You have tomatoes growing in your backyard and shit like that. And then everybody can get a sense. You can only fake it for so long, right? So yeah, I just know that show would be boring.
Yeah. After a while it would be.
I think Megan is probably the most pleasant person when you meet her and she's so nice. But I think she's boring to know as a person.
Yeah. I think, at least this is the rumor, they were invited to King Charles's coronation.
Right, I heard that same thing.
Whether or not they go is another story. I don't know that yet. But they are invited.
What a social and moral and emotional predicament for Harry to be in, because that's Harry's call. And it's his dad.
And I was going to say, it's his dad at the end of the day.
It's his opportunity to, like, mend the fence. But at the same time, I could understand him not wanting to do it because he didn't break the fence.
Yep.
And then his brother.
And who knows what the relationship has been since the documentary has aired. Are they even talking? Who knows?
Well, if you've been indoctrinated and that happens, based on what you've been taught, you're just like, again, you've been shunned. Like, you're immoral, what you've done.
Exactly. I'm curious. I doubt maybe Harry will go.
Yeah.
And not Megan and the kids.
Because it's stressful, right? Like, that would be
Yeah.
a tense, it's going to be a tense environment with Megan being there. And if she wants to be there, I feel like that would be a pushy move on her part. Because I think one of the challenges when she was in the family is that she wouldn't just follow protocol. I can totally see her being a person who is like, we don't do this, Megan, as part of our protocol, and her pushing the boundaries, just being a strong, independent woman, just being American culture, just always kind of bucking against it.
Yeah.
And now that she has peace, she may feel like she wants to assert herself going back into that environment, and I think that would be trouble for like the future of Harry and his family.
And also like everything that you have said, both of you have said against your quote unquote family or in-laws. How awkward is that?
Right?
Yikes. And then I think
and I'm sure Kate is like, don't bring that girl near me ever again.
Well, valid. And then I think in other news, like, although I don't know what the big buzz around this was because they already moved out, but they were like evicted from the Frogmore Castle or something. And I'm like, okay, they don't live there anymore. Who cares?
Right.
That's like whole thing a few days ago. And I was like,
I remember seeing something about that and I didn't understand the connection. It's just like, they
moved out.
Yeah, they'd moved out from like a year or two before that, right? So it's like, what does that mean? Right. Like, you finally redirected the taxpayer funds to Frogmore, so now they no longer can live there ever? Like, it looks like they've already made that decision.
Exactly. I don't know what big that was about. And then I think also recently they christened their daughter. Correct. Lilibet.
Though she'd already been baptized, by the way. Because Tyler Perry was the godfather, and they mentioned that in the documentary.
Oh.
Right. Well, so why did she need to be? Because now she's a princess, so obviously you need to have a new baptism.
Shut up. You think?
That would be the only thing. No. You were supposed to like baptize your baby with what, the first 6 months, maybe a year of their birth. Like, that's a little late, at least in Catholicism. So she's well over a year old.
Yeah. Interesting. But then there was like rumors being like, oh, they sent an invitation to, Charles and Camilla and William and Kate. It's just like, okay, are you doing that just to be nice? Because they're not going to come.
Well, this is why they can't earn a lot of the public's sympathy, where it's like you literally contradict yourselves in stuff that you guys put out, and then you're like, why don't you believe us? You dedicated a whole part of the episode to saying, Tyler Perry, thanks for saving us and protecting us by letting us live in your place, providing us security, being a good friend. We would be honored if you'd be her godfather. Yeah. And he's like, done. Okay.
And also, like, you didn't even know who he was or talk to him or had a relationship prior to when, like, any of this.
Yeah, which is crazy enough. But they also make a point to say in the documentary that all of that footage was filmed up until August of 2022, which means that she was baptized or christened at the latest in August of 2022. We are now in March of 2023. So within 5 months, you've given her 2 christenings or baptisms.
Yeah.
What? This is why people are confused.
Exactly. Yeah, valid. Oh, I totally forgot that they did that. Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, girl. They use their own rope to hang themselves. This is a problem. Just like she's like, here's my wedding dress. Here's the blue thread from my first date outfit because I wore a blue dress when I met him. And then in his book, he's like, on our first date, she wore jeans and a black turtleneck. Like, yeah.
It's like, did you guys not compare notes before releasing the book?
No, because if you say it emphatically, it doesn't matter.
What the heck?
It's like, isn't that so crazy? Like, what a coincidence that I would have something blue because that's what I wore on our first date. And it's like, that not according to Harry, girl. Maybe your underwear was blue. And you didn't want to admit that part because you guys did the deed. I don't know. That's speculation, but this is why people struggle, because they catch Meghan in contradictions. I don't know if I've caught Harry in contradiction, because he's just like, I've been the spare, I've struggled with it, I've wanted to get away, and now here I am. But I think my dad said to me one day, he's like, I hope she doesn't leave him. My dad's an old school traditional male, but it's just like he has no idea who he is. She had a whole identity before him. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know not to be Prince Harry.
Valid. I did enjoy his interview. I don't know where he did the interview. Some late night talk show.
Stephen Colbert?
I thought it was good.
Colbert?
Yes. I thought that was good. He was, you could tell he was nervous. But then as the interview progressed, he slowly came out of his shell. Then he was spitting jokes out and everything. And I was like, oh, see, that's the Harry. That's the Harry we know. Okay,
so I think he's a completely down-to-earth individual. I do think Prince William is the same, except he has more important, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he has to be held to a different standard, but I think that he's also just as down-to-earth. But, like, would you, like, die if you were in L.A. or Montecito or Santa Barbara and you saw, like, Harry at, like, the Starbucks? Like, tell me you wouldn't die.
I would die because when he was in Toronto, I think planning the Invictus Games, I caught word that he was at Queen's Park.
Ooh.
So
when was this? Was like 2016, I imagine.
Yeah. So I remember I got home from work and I made my now husband sprint from like Young and Bloor to Queen's Park to maybe see him, but we missed him by 4 minutes. Yeah, so I would die if I saw him in a cafe or wherever.
I would die. Totally be just gawking and frozen, just being like, this guy is a prince and he's literally standing in front of me right now. Yeah,
100%.
Would you talk 100%. To him? Do you think you'd try and say anything?
I would love to. I would totally chicken out.
Yeah.
But then I would kick myself after for not saying anything.
I feel like I would do the same.
I'm the type of person, like, even when the Toronto International Film Festival happens in Toronto, I've seen a few stars, like, walking around during the day. I have seen them. Right. I have followed them a few blocks. But I'm literally like, I don't want to disturb them. I don't want to, bring the attention to them because they're just in their everyday clothes, just walking around shopping, doing their thing. And I'm like, I don't want to disturb them.
We're going to have to do an episode covering Canadian. TIFF when that comes up.
Yes, absolutely. So I probably wouldn't say anything, but I would want
to. Do you think that Meghan Markle will act again? And if she does, will you respect her for doing that?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, next steps for both of them. She probably will. I feel like they need money. At least that's what everyone's saying.
Right.
She might. But it'll be very, like, it has to be on her terms. She has to, like, okay everything, da-da-da-da-da. She might. And I wouldn't be surprised. Do I think she should? No. I think you're past that, girl. I think that was your former life.
I agree.
You're past that. But she's in LA. She's in California.
Right.
She might.
I agree. I think I wouldn't put it past her to take that opportunity again. Especially now that she has some clout. And that has a negative sound to it, but it's like you are more popular now than you were when you were on Suits, so you can be more discerning in the roles that you want to take on, and I think that she would optimize on that, knowing the personality that she has.
Yeah.
But it'll be, again, hard for people to be sympathizing, where it's like, she's like, you don't understand, I didn't have a choice, I had to take on this role that was Oscar worthy because I have 2 small babies at home that I need to feed. It's that hat that she puts on where it's like, I didn't have a choice. I obviously had to act with Robert De Niro and Richard Gere, and I didn't have any other option. And it's like,
well, why don't you sell your, $45 million mansion? Maybe you'll get some money. Like, get out of here.
Why don't you reboot The Tig? That was pretty fucking popular. Why don't you do that now that you're a mom of 2 babies?
Yeah.
Oh, that was your past life. Got it.
Yeah. She picks and chooses.
Yeah. Because you can, because you rich, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think is in the future for Harry?
I think that Harry will be offered, if not already offered, a couple of walk-on roles to different things. Like, I don't know what kind of new sitcoms are there, but it would have been like a Big Bang Theory or what was that? Like a Will and Grace type of like walk-on part where he makes, big chunk of change for a little, kind of just being like, hey, I'm Harry.
I'm Prince Harry.
Where he probably needs to make the most money, and I think he's already doing it, is public speaking.
Yeah.
Being, given money to talk at a lot of different events about mental health. But I think he should talk more about charity work, and even he does already. Invictus Games, I think, is for like veterans and stuff. Yeah. To continue to do that. I don't know what he is from like an entrepreneurial spirit, if he should do something business wise. I don't think he has the expertise for that. He
might have the connections though.
Yeah. Those are the only things I can see, like it'd be crazy if he like became a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I just want to be at home with my kids. And that's one of the things he talked about in the documentary, that he's doing stuff with his kids that he would never be able to do if he had stayed within the royal family, which is sad in a way. Because then when you think about Charlotte and Louis and what the hell is the other one baby's name? Kate is 3. How could you not remember, Sarah?
I can see his face. William, Kate.
It's not Henry.
No. Charlotte.
Come on,
Louis.
Google. Let's see if I can get this Google.
Oh my gosh. This is awful. As soon as I see it.
Louis.
We're going to have to cut this out. George. Prince George.
How could we forget that? He was the first one.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I feel like he's the quietest one out of all of them. That's what I feel.
I mean, I've never heard any of them talk, but I guess he's just been the least popular.
Yeah, I also think Princess Charlotte is a badass, and I think she takes after her grandmother, the queen. And I think Louis is a trickster, a jokester. That's what I get. That's what I get from him.
Since the passing of the queen, has your interest in the royal family waned?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same. I don't feel like I'm going to be as interested. The running joke, at least for me and my family, and I'm sure a lot of people are, it's like, the queen won't pass away because she does not want her son to be king.
Yeah.
The narrative behind the scenes is like, he's incompetent and he's not fit to be king.
Yeah.
And now we live in a world where Charles is king.
And Camilla is the queen.
Right. The mistress, the side chick is the queen. Like, truly. If anything could make Diana roll over in her grave, I think that would be it.
Truly. I also feel like she was such a constant. Everyone loved the queen. She kicked ass. She was a badass.
Totally.
I think I might 100%. I think I might get more into the royal family again once Camilla and Charles move on. And then it's William and Kate's turn.
Or based on like them deciding to change the way that the monarchy is run now that he runs the show. He has that opportunity to turn it around if he wants. And what he does with that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I mentioned this before as a fun fact, but my mom had met Prince William when he was alive. Yeah.
Really?
Totally.
Wait. Prince William?
Prince Philip. So the queen's husband.
There you go. Yeah, you said Prince William. Prince Philip. Where?
So my mom worked for the airlines for most of her career. And she worked for one of the airlines in Jamaica at the time. So she worked at the airport. And Jamaica being a part of the Commonwealth, obviously royal visits were a thing. And he was there at the airport. And she talked with him. She said he's very charismatic and handsome. Talking to all of like the check-in agents and whatever. And it was like so pleasant to be around. And yeah, I guess she was crushing. She's crushing on him.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's in my mind how he was.
Yeah. I didn't know. He just because like I had no concept of him because I only ever focused on the Queen and Prince Charles and Princess Diana. It's not until later years that Prince Philip was like a thing for me. We're like recognizing his existence because he was pretty old by then, right? He looked kind of But yeah.
It looked like he was in the 90s for a good 30 years.
Exactly. But yeah, Harry describes him as cheeky little trickster and, being friendly. And yeah, that's exactly how my mom described him as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I love to hear that. That's great.
Yeah, so if there's any hope of like, are the family horrible people behind the scenes? No. And I don't think that they are. But I think they adhere to a very strict British culture of stiff upper lip. And that, just like I guess in a workplace, some people take their jobs very seriously and they're willing to sacrifice you as a person in order to save their job and their legacy. Yeah,
exactly. And at the end of the day, they're not a family. It's an institution.
Facts. Queen's like, I'll be damned to sacrifice my son Prince Andrew over you, Meghan.
Yeah, exactly.
So sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
So 100%. I'm curious as always to know what the listeners, I was going to say readers, what the listeners think about Harry and Meghan. Are we like one of those people that need to stop talking about it? Are you guys as the audience tired of hearing about them? What are your thoughts about Harry and Meghan? What do you think they should do next? Are you... Ooh, this is a question I'll ask you, Sarah, before posing it. Are you team William and Kate or team Harry and Meghan?
No!
You have to
I
choose.
don't like William that much. I just want Kate. Fuck William. Screw William.
You don't like William?
Not really. Like, he's fine. I feel like he's just there. Well, when I heard
Is it because
that
he cheated on Kate?
Yeah. Yeah, when he potentially, who knows, rumor, I don't know. When she was pregnant with your third child and you cheated allegedly, cheated on her with her friend, get fucked.
Yeah. But like, where did you find the time to be alone with a friend? It sounds like you guys have very packed schedules.
Honestly. So I think he's fine. I do like him, but Kate's my number one gal. But I like Harry. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Meghan's fine, but I like Harry.
So you're like team Harry and Kate. You want them to get together.
Yeah, because I truly felt like before Meghan was on the scene, they had a really good relationship with one another. They were like, well, at least that's what it seemed. That's what I don't know. Through the
You're talking about the brothers or
everything. No, between Harry and Kate.
Yes, agreed.
It seemed like they had a brotherly sister relationship.
Yeah, that sibling bond was already there.
Yeah, and agreed. I feel like it's not there anymore, but it was there, and they had a really, really nice relationship.
Do you think that they just team William, that William and Kate just accepted Harry as the third wheel, and Harry maybe got a little tired of that, and like that being his role, being like I want my own thing?
Maybe, because I feel like they did a lot of probably like events together and charity work together, the three of them.
Yes.
But then once Meghan came on the scene, he was like, I got my own person now. I don't need to be the third in this, relationship.
And I'm sure they kind of directed and controlled him in a little bit too, of being like, here's what you should do, or whatever they call him.
As you are the spare.
As you are the spare.
Yeah.
Though it is a bit ironic that Harry had never watched Suits, but that was William and Kate's like one of their favorite shows.
Right?
It just gets weirder and weirder if you want to dig into it further, doesn't it?
So bizarre. Wait, are you team William and Kate or team Harry and Meghan? Because I didn't answer the question.
I feel like I have more history with William and Kate, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I've been in it through the beginning with them.
Yeah.
Watched as she suffered mercilessly when they were at school together, when the paparazzi just denounced her as a commoner who wasn't worthy.
Yep.
They called her Princess Wadey.
Wadey Katie.
All of that. So I was emotionally invested in that more. So from that perspective, I would say I'm probably team William and Kate. But if I'm looking at it from like a moral or ethical standpoint, they are being willfully ignorant to what has transpired in terms of Meghan being a scapegoat, being like, we're not racist and this is not racist and you haven't been treated unfair, Harry. That never happened, when you've gaslighted, and I don't think that's okay. Yeah. But in terms of like the monarchy and the royalness, You know, like William and Kate are the ones that are going to carry that forward. Once Charles is gone, then William will be king.
100%.
So yeah. But I wish Harry and Meghan nothing but the best. Can't wait to meet them the next time I'm around the Cali area. Bumping into them at Whole Foods.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Like, I want to know how they live their life there. Like, do they walk around without security and, like, do their things? Because Meghan used to do that when she was here. And so I'm curious how they're living their life.
Probably not.
In
they
private.
Probably have security. Even if they go to the beach, I'm sure there's security, like, in the bushes.
So awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. No, same. At the end of the day, like, I wish them happiness. I hope Harry is in a better place. Hopefully hopefully his family can smarten up and mend that relationship before it's completely gone.
Yes.
It would be great if he could be there for his dad during the coronation, but that's his decision and the relationship. So yeah, I'm curious to see how things progress, even with their kids and William Kate's kids and the monarchy in general, because it's been completely changed ever since the Queen has died last year.
Yeah. Will you watch the coronation? Regardless of if Harry comes.
I'll probably just catch the highlights.
That's valid. I feel like that too. It's a moment in history that needs to be like recognized. So from that standpoint, we never thought that we would see Charles become king. So I definitely want to see moments of that, but I wouldn't wait and wake up early in the morning like for the royal wedding.
100%. Yeah. I agree.
Okay, so I think we've caught up on all the things we wanted to catch up on today. We definitely, as always, are open to suggestions and feedback about what you guys think we should talk about. And I think until next time.
Till next time, are you Team William and Kate or Team Harry and Meghan? Let us know.
Are you Team Selena or Team Haley?
Let us know.
Bye, girl.
All right. Chat with you later. Bye.